You're listening to The Local Maximum, episode 258.
Time to expand your perspective. Welcome to The Local Maximum. Now, here's your host, Max Sklar.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. You have reached another Local Maximum. We're headed into the last week of the year, last interview of the year. How'd you all fare in the storm over the last couple of days? I know here in the Merrimack Valley, it was actually mild as it goes. You know, I feel like it was 25 degrees here at worst, and then 8 degrees in New York City. So sometimes it pays to be up here in New Hampshire, not doing so badly in terms of that weather this round. All right, so I just want to wish you all a happy holiday season, no matter what you're celebrating. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and I hope you get some time off to spend with friends and family. Usually at the end of the year, we do a series of year-in reviews, which will be coming very soon. Each year I kind of have a different flavor on it. It could be just a general year-in review of the podcast, of news stories of the year. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to spin it this year, but I'm looking forward very much to doing this and taking a broader view as a lot of technology is moving very fast. In particular, AI is moving very fast. So in that vein, I'm very glad to have today's guest live in the studio. My guest today does a lot. He is a hacker, an entrepreneur, an investor, a philanthropist. But in today's interview, we're talking to him as the founder and CEO of a new tech startup called SportsVisio that's using innovations in image and video detection and machine learning that shows promise in changing the game, pun intended, for basketball to start in terms of automatically tagging, scoring, and processing raw video. And it's pretty amazing what they've been able to achieve and what it looks like they can achieve in the future. And all this is something that's very expensive to do manually and is in high demand, as you'll see. So let's get excited for our next guest today, Jason Syversen. Jason Syversen, you've reached the Local Maximum. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
This is really exciting to have an in-person guest live in the studio in Salem, New Hampshire. So thank you for trudging through what they're calling the storm of the century, although it doesn't seem that bad for New Hampshire to get here. Really appreciate it today.
Yeah, no problem. You can't live in New Hampshire and be afraid of snow or wind. So
I know.
I'm comfortable with it.
I know. It's one of the things I love about being up here. How long have you been in New Hampshire for?
Since 1998. So
okay.
Right after college.
Wow. So a long way. I mean, I guess I've been in Northeast my whole life, but yeah. So that's so you are a true New Hampshire resident, I suppose. So let's talk about SportsVisio, and I actually maybe we can come back to that because I assume that your life here has inspired this product. And I know that you have kids who play sports and maybe that has inspired it as well. But tell us a little bit about the product SportsVisio, because I feel like a lot of people out there haven't heard of it. A lot of people need to hear about what you're doing. It's a startup. And tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. Yeah. So it was inspired by kind of a recognition, as you said. You know, I'm a father of 6, and all of my kids have played soccer and basketball. And so I've been a parent of kids playing sports for over 15 years and coached most of them in both soccer and basketball. And I've also played for almost 30 years in different leagues around New Hampshire and back in college. And was really just, always had a need to, and I'm an engineer, right? So I'm very analytical and always want to get better and learn more. So I was always interested in learning how well I did and how I could improve. And I'd go home after a game. My kids would be like, "How'd you do, Dad? How many points did you have?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't remember." And I had a friend who was talking about a game. He was like, "I had 30 points and 10 assists and no turnovers." And me and my teammates were looking at each other like, "What game was he at?"
Yeah.
But we don't have stats, so you never know. And later that day, I saw...
And your friend was just doing this in his head?
Yeah.
So some people can do that.
Yeah, some people are enthusiastic about, their own performance. And so anyway, I saw this clip of a product called Pivo, and they were selling a Bluetooth motorized controlled actuator on a tripod, and the device would track a subject in a frame. So it was girls doing a selfie video or someone doing a cooking video, and then they showed someone doing a layup in basketball, and the camera would actually pan and track them. So I jump online, read the message boards, and they said that it failed badly in a game because of the crowd. And it would just start swinging all over the place, and it couldn't pay attention to what was going on. But it got me thinking like, what if I could take that with some AI PhD type folks and actually use machine learning and computer vision, take that to the next level and actually use kind of deep learning to actually follow a game and process what's happening, right? You have people wearing colored numbered jerseys with bright numbers on the back, putting a ball in the hoop. I'm driving a Tesla, which I drove self-driving to get to
I know, we were talking about this on the studio the other day. I don't have a Tesla, but I know people who do, and I got a chance to drive in one. It's a little bit nerve-wracking, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. But it's like magical, right? When you see technology at that level, and I know you and I were talking about ChatGPT earlier, you see what AI is capable of doing. Like, this is not rocket science, right? This has got to be solvable. So I called some friends who are PhD AI types, and they all agreed, 3-4 high-end people for a year, you could get a prototype out the door. So then I called some customers, and I was like, hey, would you pay for this? And to a person, they were super enthusiastic, and they were willing to pay 50% to 100% more than I was going to charge. So there's a market and a need. And for me personally, I had a tech company, which I sold in 2016, and I retired in 2019. I donated most of the money from the sale to a foundation. So we set up a charity, and I've been serving as chairman of the board, chief investment officer for the foundation. So going forward, I've been investing. I've done about 30 tech investments, 5 private equity or real estate deals. And I was thinking, what am I doing? Do I keep investing? I've probably got above 10% in alternatives. So what do I do going forward? And I think starting a company. So my plan is to take the money I make from this company and put that back in the foundation and other nonprofit efforts to try to add value and help give to others, but also solve a need that I personally experience, but I think others do too, and something really fun to work on. Yeah,
so there's a lot of threads I want to pull on in this. So first of all, what did the company that you sold in 2016, what did that do?
Yeah, so it's called Siege Technologies. It was a cyber warfare research and development company.
Wow, so very different from what you're doing now.
Very different, except for the fact that we had a lot of PhD, master's degrees, hardcore engineers. So SportsVisio, even though we're in sports, we're really a deep tech company applied to the sports vertical. So we're focused on, we have 3 PhDs. We're recruiting a 4th PhD right now in AI and machine learning, computer vision. So we're really focused on building a cadre like I had at Siege of super smart, high-end engineers that can do really innovative technology. And we're just applying it to the sports area. Where at Siege, we were hiring high-end folks to do research development, technology development in cybersecurity and cyber warfare.
So, and your foundation, what does that do?
So we fund different nonprofits that are doing innovative work and compelling work in humanitarian causes. So my wife started a group fighting human trafficking called New Hampshire Traffic Free, and then a different group called Expose, which is specifically fighting sexual exploitation. So we're obviously pretty passionate about that topic area. So we fund a group called NCOSI, which is a National Center on Sexual Exploitation. They're fighting, child porn online and sexting, and grooming and other things, rape porn and things like that. As well as other, third world developmental programs. We adopted twins, so we're pretty passionate about supporting orphans and child development and things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that really just gives me a sense of all your motivation and what you're doing with this thing. But I really want to get into the business. So, and the tech, I want to uncover the tech. But for those of you out there, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer because I want to ask about the market research you did.
Sure.
Because that's kind of the part that's missing for me. I feel like I know how to dive into the tech, but then when you were talking about customers that you were going to ask, how did you figure out who you were going to ask? And what exactly did you have in mind in terms of what you were going to build? Because, I feel like you were were you coming at them with this fuzzy thing? Well, it's going to track your layups or something, how did you
so if you play basketball competitively in like a high school or college level, they give you what's called a box score, which is a stats page that has a bunch of standard statistics. It has field goals, field goal attempts, 3-pointers, free throws, assists, steals, turnovers, rebounds. So it's a standard set of data points that basketball players would look at. Pro players, high school, college players have that. And having had my kids played high school basketball, but they often didn't even have stats because the coaches at the smaller schools can't afford to pay for $1,000 a season for something like Huddle. Huddle is a company that does this manually overseas in India. So they record the game, you send it to Huddle, they mail it to people in India who kind of watch the game, fat finger to an app, and a day later you get the stats. So I was like, well, what if we could do that for $350, $400 by using software?
Yeah. Wait, how much?
It to you much faster. and give you all those same statistics.
So how much are people paying the, what was that first one?
High schools that pay about $1,000. It's technically like $900 if you get it in 24 hours and $1,200 if you get it in 12 hours.
The
Synergy does it for about $3,000 for college programs.
The high school will pay for that.
High schools, yeah, exactly. So a lot of high schools don't have the money to pay $1,000. That's per team.
Yeah.
So maybe they only do it for the varsity boys and girls, but not the JV team or the freshman team. But smaller schools don't have the money. So I talked to the high school varsity coach for our high school, and he said he and the other coach watch the video and they manually type it into Excel or whatever.
Yeah, so they just do it.
And they spend hours doing that. Smaller schools, I know, they don't even do it. Or they have a manager who tries to do what they can at the sideline. So again, because we can do it for so much cheaper using software, there's a huge demand. People want that data. Men's leagues, again, would love to have that. They're never going to spend that much money, but would they spend $10, $15 a game to get stats? And then the cool thing is, so anyway, when I called them, the question was, would you want a box score and video highlights of all those plays? Because a cool part that we get using computer vision is we're using video to deduce the statistics. So we get a highlight clip for every single stat for free. So not only can you see all your totals of points and steals and rebounds and assists, but then you can see a video clip of every play. So for kids who are trying to get recruited, or kids who just want to have fun, or somebody wants to share a cool clip on social media, that fadeaway 3-pointer they had in the corner, you get that now for free and you can share that online.
Yeah, and this might not be what you're doing, but I can imagine if you have. I went to basketball camp when I was in middle school. I can imagine if they had set that up, like I could have my the one shot that I made all summer.
That's right. That's exactly
that would get
from and even the men's league, right? Guys are doing this for fun. They're not trying to get recruited, but again, they'll pay a little bit extra. They're paying.
It'd be cool to still have that.
Men's leagues are paying about $1,000 to $1,200 per team per session. Yeah. So for an extra 10-15%, if you can get a full box score and all the video clips, like most people think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like there's a little bit of magic involved here, of what your system is promising. Like, tell me if I'm wrong. This is how I imagine it in my head. Like you set up your phone, your camera. Are cameras like these camcorders or your phone?
No, it's a simple phone, Android or iPhone.
And you set it up where on the court? Anywhere?
On the sideline, somewhere in the middle.
Is it helpful to have multiple angles? And
it is helpful to have. So our baseline.
Or can you deal with multiple angles?
Yeah, our baseline right now is 2 cameras, one facing one court, one facing the other.
Okay.
But we're actually actively developing a single camera solution to make it more convenient for customers who don't have access to 2 phones and 2 tripods.
Right.
So we'll use that Pivo product. And so we have a partnership with them where we're pushing the AI onto the phone. It'll track the crowd and then it will pan back and forth to record the game.
Okay.
For folks that want a 1-camera solution.
Okay. So, and it does it actually, and it actually figures out the stats on the fly. And that is also kind of a source of magic. So it sounds like what is it good at and what is it bad at? Like, can it actually, so can it tell when you made a layup? Can it tell what you are like who's who? Can it tell, are there things that just can't tell? Yeah.
So it can do all the statistics we want it to. It doesn't do blocks currently. And I don't think it does steals.
Yeah. Is that just, is there a technical issue with that, or is that just like work?
Yeah, developmental. Yeah. Blocks we were a little worried about because it can be very detail oriented. Like when you're shooting it, if someone jumps up and it just barely touches the fingertips, we were a little worried about both frame rate and resolution, if that will be hard to do. But it's also a lower priority.
Right.
And then so it's right now it's slow is one of the biggest problems. The AI takes about 16 hours to process a 1 to 1.5 hour game. So we're working to speed that up. We think we can get that down to 7 hours in the near future. And then eventually the plan is to add some algorithmic improvements as well as some optimizations and more compute power. We think we can get that down in real time.
Really demanding it that fast?
No, again, the state of the art right now is doing it manually, and they get it a day or 2 later. So we're fine. But my vision is I want to get it so they can go into halftime with the stats on their phone.
Right. And you cut costs. Oh, and the stats should be real time, right? You should be able to see what's going on.
We want to support that in real time.
Yeah.
We're anywhere from 70 to 99% accurate on the stats, depending on which statistic, which gym and environment. So what we're doing right now is we're supplementing with humans. We have a 3,000 person partner that has a team overseas, issues, and then they're reviewing the AI, and the AI is producing stuff, and then we're kind of cleaning it up. And then the plan is to take those training wheels off when we feel comfortable that the AI is 95 to 99% accurate across the board, and then we can just go full AI. So we'll be profitable even with humans, but once we go to full AI, we'll be very profitable.
It almost reminds me of the problem. I don't know if you've ever been into like an Amazon Ghost store, but I mean, those started 5 years ago. I haven't even seen any around here that much, but back in New York, I'd go into them and it would know exactly what I grabbed off the shelf. And it'd be a little bit like, okay, I grabbed something off the shelf, but as I was doing it, a child ran underneath me and grabbed some things below me and then ran off. And I was like, are they going to charge me for that? Are they going to charge the child's parents for what I was grabbing? It never happened. But Amazon had such a huge budget for doing this. And you're doing this with like kind of a smaller team.
Yeah, we've raised over $3 million in venture capital. I also put $500,000 of my own retirement money into the company. So we do have, we're close to 30 people now. So we're not all full-time, but most of them are full-time. So we do have a pretty deep team and are hitting this problem pretty hard. But you're right, it's not a trivial problem. And I can say one of the lessons I've learned is if I was doing the company over again, I would have started with a simpler solution and then got to market faster so we could evolve. But, I used to be a program manager at DARPA. And one of the things they do at DARPA is you're supposed to work on DARPA hard problems, and they kind of ridicule people that are doing evolutionary incremental technologies.
Right.
And I still have that a little bit imbued in my brain of like trying to tackle the big, hard, hairy problem, and kind of brought that, I think, to the company as well.
See, well, that's interesting because I have kind of the opposite issue. Whereas like, the tech companies in New York, all of them, the startups and the big companies are always like, if you can't get it done in a few months, then we're just going to move you off to another project. Right. And like and I'm like, no, I want to work on a big project. So, this last year I took on a big project myself and I'm like, what I want to build is going to take me 10 years. So now I got to get back to the drawing board. I feel like there needs to be kind of a happy medium there in terms of the workflow. But there is, I don't know. It sounds like there's definitely a good flow you can get into in a startup where you're working on big problems, but you're also shipping occasionally, every few weeks or every few months. So it sounds like you guys have got it. I want to ask you now about the tech that's underneath it. So I think we've talked about image generation. I've used some image recognition software. How you're dealing with video recognition. So what is available? Are you using anything that's like open source? Any frameworks that we should know about? And what did your engineers tell you was available for them, or did you have to buy software?
We're using it's mostly recombinant convolutional neural networks is kind of the technology behind a lot of what we're doing. OpenCV is a library of open computer vision libraries. There's a algorithm set called YOLO, You Only Look Once. They have a bunch of great libraries for that you can download, some of which we've used are some open source standard approaches for detecting objects, multi-object tracking, pose estimation, which is something we use to detect players on the court, number recognition. We don't need to code our own number recognition library to detect jersey numbers.
Right. And these are working on videos, not just images.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. But a lot of the I've learned, as you pointed out, this is a newer area for me, which has been fun to kind of sink my teeth into a new technical domain. But a lot of it actually just processes at the image level, right? So video is just a series of concatenated still video frames. So you process things on a still frame, and then you kind of chain those together to kind of track over time. So it really is often done at the image level, and then it just kind of extends.
Right. Doesn't that sound like, first of all, that sounds like, but wouldn't there be like an enormous number of images to do? And then secondly, doesn't there have to be some continuity between the images? Like you can't tell, I guess you could tell a layup from one image maybe, but it's really the full action.
Correct. That's right. So it's an ongoing, that's why computationally it takes so long is we're tracking 10 players plus 2 to 3 referees plus hoop plus the out of bounds detections plus the ball plus we're doing action detection, we're doing number recognition, we're doing all these detections on each frame, and you're doing it at 30 or 60 frames a second. and then you're running that over time. So it can be very computationally intensive, especially when you're running all discrete models. So one of the things we've experimented with is combining some of these models into a single estimator where we're doing jersey detection and ball detection and action detection in a single model rather than a bunch of parallelized models. So when you can do joint estimation and joint model analysis, it can be more efficient. But we're also looking at downsampling. Do we need to go at 30 frames per second? Can we process at 15 frames per second? Which objects do we need to track constantly, and how can we get higher performance? So we're in the early days of how to speed that up.
Yeah. And it sounds like you probably have some ideas on how to speed that up. Like how would you, can you get like 2x, 10x from what you have here?
Totally. Yeah, that's exactly. We every single person I've talked to on the team, internally and externally, we all think we can get to real time. It's just a matter of how much GPU power do we need? What can we do from like memory bandwidth optimization, the model usage? There's
it sounds like you might also be using frames and data that you don't need to process as much.
That's right. So there's work we can do with downsampling, lower frame rates, quantizing some of the images, or taking just a portion of the image where we know where the object is. Different heuristics we can use instead of doing everything in machine learning, but just draw a box around like the hoop and say, well, did the ball get to this area or not? Tracking the player. So there's tons of optimizations from both architectural to algorithmic to heuristics and other things we can do, and to adding more computational resources that we believe we can get to faster than real time for most of the algorithms, and real time for the whole thing.
Very cool. OpenCV, how did you guys decide to use it? Is that just the best one to use?
It's just a library of open source computer vision libraries.
Do you know who does that?
I don't. It's an open source consortium.
Gotcha. How did so? I'm always curious about like the start. What did your engineers do on in the first week when you guys got together?
Yeah, great question. So we started spring of last year, and really just started trying to define the problem of like, all right, what does this need to look like? So it was what is the problem we're trying to solve? What do the algorithms need to look like? And kind of defining it at an architectural level, like bounding box. Okay, we're going to need player tracking. We're going to need ball detection. We're going to need hoop detection. We're going to need to detect where the out of bounds are. And because again, a challenge you have at a basketball game, well, there's a lot of people there, not just on the court, but there's all these people on the sidelines. So you need to be able to distinguish people on the side from the people in the middle, and have the algorithms make sure they only follow the people you're interested in.
I feel like that could just be a full years-long problem.
Yeah, exactly. And so it has been a challenge. That's why we have a deep team. I think we have 5 or 6 people now just on the computer vision side. But then we also had this big problem of there's a lot of software. So we have like 4 or 5 different products we've developed. So we have the SV Record app, which you can download on the Android or iPhone store. And that's our recording platform. That's our software that records the game, streams it to the cloud. Then we have the SV Hoops app. That's the one that shows you all the stats and video highlights.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to ask about that, because I downloaded the SV Hoops app and I couldn't do anything with it. It was there, and so there's another app that I need to download in order to give it a try.
SV Record is the one that would record the game. SV Hoops, you can poke around and look at that. If you go into the Explorer section, you can see other games that are already in the platform, so you can see what it looks like.
Okay, maybe you can show me after the show to make sure that I'm
give you some
right.
video clips.
So SV Record, and I can do this now. It actually works.
Yep, exactly. So we do have it because again we're paying for all those processes of games, so we will give partners like a game or two for free to test it out. But we want only people. We don't want some kid who's playing on a playground to do it. We really want like customers that are actually going to sign up a program and use it for their school or their men's league or AAU program. And then we have a web platform. So that's for the humans to review the game data, to review the stats, to make sure that we're actually hoping to roll out a do-it-yourself stats platform that'll be low cost. So people who don't want to pay us to do it, but maybe they have a manager, somebody who wants to do it, we're going to kind of move to like a UStat platform. We also have the full cloud architecture where we're doing all the AI processing and everything. Each of those are different products that we've had to develop from scratch.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, so just in terms of the development story, can I ask, like, was there like, what was the first moment where you guys got something working, and what was it? Was a particular clip and it detected something? Was there kind of like a holy shit, it works moment?
Yeah. I think my favorite was probably March of this year. And we had a demo that we pulled together that the AI team provided to me that really helped me see, wow, like, this is awesome. We can actually show this to partners, and it really tells the story of like what we're doing. So I'll give it to you here. You can take a look at it. But
oh, wow.
This is showing bounding boxes, the ball tracking, the players, the refs, and it's doing what's called 2D homography. So we're taking 3D image, we're transposing it onto 2D surface and plotting player position on the court with the numbers. And then you can see it detects a shot that goes up. And you see this video, and it's great when I'm explaining to a potential customer or just a friend, and they're like, yeah, computer vision, I don't get what you're doing. What does this mean? I show them that, and like, oh, wow, I kind of understand now.
So, I don't know if you guys can provide me with some of these videos, but maybe I can have it clipped into the YouTube where most people are listening audio. But for those of you who are listening audio, let's try to describe this. You see the video of people playing basketball, and you see, boxes around each person, how it's detecting each person and what they're doing. I mean, it's a little bit like being in a self-driving car where it detects everything around you. So, maybe this technology has, not maybe, but definitely this technology has applications far beyond self-driving, and this looks like this looks like one of them. So. One thing I have here that maybe this harkens back to what we were talking about before in terms of like what works and what doesn't, but like. What I want to know is, so does it know if you were taking a 3-point shot or a 2-point shot? How does it know? What if it's something where like the ref has to kind of tell if you were stepped on the line a little bit? Is it able to do that, or does it?
Great question. So so it can detect if it's a 2-pointer, 3-pointer because of that 2D homography. So it looks at where you are in the court. If it's right in between, that's an area we're researching both using the algorithm to detect foot placement. But the other thing is in a ref game, the ref should do this if it's a 3-pointer. So we're going to be adding action detection to track the referee's hands.
Okay.
So it will detect the official call by the ref. Because even if we can tell if it's one, if it differs from the referee's opinion, we have to go with what the ref says.
Right. I mean, eventually, maybe your software just referee the game.
You're correct. Yeah. We've already looked at that path. Like I envision a future. The other thing we think we can do besides eventually instrumenting the referees is also the scoreboard operator. So most of these games, well, not most, all of these games have a human operator who sits there and all they do is press the score button, start and stop the clock, and maybe press a whistle when people are subbing in for a buzzer. So we think those can be turned into an API. A lot of those scoreboards are electronic. They have a display. And there's no reason we couldn't instrument that entire thing. And again, those people are making $20 an hour or more to sit there on the side of the game and do that. And there's no reason. Our software is already running. So for a marginal cost, we can instrument that away.
That's kind of a really exciting possibility. And I'm sure you've also been talking about, now when you're talking about like the big vision, this is not limited to just basketball, right?
That's right. Yep. So we have a number of sports that we're looking at for what's next. Probably our next step will be adding just an AI-based recorder to record games. We're getting tons of interest on the App Store, people just downloading us because they just want to record a game and they don't even know you can do AI stats. Because learning the lesson I learned from this company of trying to not build the hardest problem right away, solve the hardest problem right away, let's build something incremental. And if we have an AI-based recorder, we can just record video of games using AI, whether it's volleyball or soccer or hockey, and allow people to not have to buy a $1,000 expensive camera setup, but just use a single smartphone with a $70 tripod, and then you can record games, and then we can upsell, hey, would you like AI stats or would you like automated video highlights? We can kind of create that feature down the road. So that's kind of our plan for next year. Yeah,
I'm sure even like, I know some people would be interested in golf, although that's kind of a hard one because you're not setting up a single, you have to reset up the camera in every hole.
Places. I know.
But that's a big stats one. And some of these golfers really invest in their stats.
Tennis, people have been talking about pickleball a lot, which is kind of an up and coming sport.
That's taking over everywhere, and that's one where you could set up one camera and really get everything. So
exactly.
So I think that's really cool. Okay, so how do you have any? So you said you already provide like a couple games free for people, but like how much is it? How many customers do you have? Are people?
So we've got a couple of dozen customers. I mean, we've had places like Oxford University, Miami Select down in Florida. It's like a semi-pro league, a bunch of high schools and some middle schools, men's leagues, right? Manchester, New Hampshire, Manchester Baller Association. We have a nice diverse mix. We've had inbound interest from Argentina, Turkey, Spain, other environments. So it's been super interesting to watch where the traction is coming from, and we have really just started in November, like selling to customers, and we're still working out those early beta customer bugs. But as soon as we fix a couple things, when we get to the one camera, right now our uploader is a little slow, and if you get a text message or a call in the middle of an upload, it stops. And iPhone doesn't want to let you do background uploading very easily. But we've recoded it, and shortly we're going to be releasing a much more aggressive uploader that gets the video up quickly, so then we can process it. So yeah, that's going to solve a big pain point for customers. The single camera will help, and we've done some architectural things to improve the quality. So yeah, I'm super excited. I think we've had just nothing but positive feedback about the idea and the concept. A couple of complaints about the early rollout in the beta testing, but we're kind of working our way through those. And I think by first quarter next year, we're going to have a really solid, smooth experience that we'll have the opportunity to really scale.
How much does it cost per game?
So it's about $20 our cost that we charge. But if we can get a league to sign up, that's only $10 per game per customer.
That sounds very low.
Exactly.
I mean, like, didn't you say it was like $1,000? Is that the right comparison?
Competition, yeah. So their cost, that $1,000 ends up working out to about $40 or $50 a game.
Oh, okay. So they do multiple games for $1,000?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
that $1,000 is like for, whatever that math works out to, 25 games a season or something. So for us, we are.
So that's like every game. It's like, hey, someone got $10, and like
exactly.
That's not so bad.
With a team, you have 10 players on a team, so each player is paying about $1.
Yeah.
Right. So most people, parents and the kids, or even a men's league, I mean, $1 a game. Guys are like, yeah, I don't care.
Right.
I'm paying $125 to play in this league. Are they going to pay an extra $15 to get stats and video for all the games? They're like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Well, for people who are interested, I have a few more questions after this, but for the people who are interested, like, where should they go to get started and try this out? Should I download one of the apps? Should they go to the website?
Website. I mean, you can download the app, but it'll basically have you contact sales. You just fill out a form and basically tell them what you want to do. And again, we're happy to talk to people that want to like kick the tires, but we have had people say, hey, can I use this for pickup? Can I use this for that? Like, we really are trying to focus on the more competitive market. So people that are playing ref games with jerseys and referees. But if you have anything from a middle school, high school, men's league, AU program, college, semi-pro team, we'd love to support them. And like I said, it's not a high barrier to entry. So we've had, and we can work with people on pricing structure and things like that to kind of help make it work.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. What's it like doing a company like this from New Hampshire in 2022, 2023? Is it largely remote? Are you guys, are you finding that this is a good place to do this kind of application? Do you sometimes wish you were in a larger city? How does that work?
Yeah, no, we've been fully remote. So we started in the middle of the pandemic. I mean, it was early 2020 when we got started. So we didn't really have the option of going in person, which kind of changed the paradigm. Our leadership is almost all in New Hampshire. We have a couple of people in Northern Mass, but we're all kind of centered in about 45 minutes around Manchester.
Right.
But we have hired remotely. We have people in California and Vancouver, Canada, and South America, and we just hired someone in Europe. And so we're really embracing the modern work from home, remote workforce. And an interesting side effect to that I don't think people realize, the whole pandemic has introduced the value of working from home and the flexibility that offers to the employee. But I think an unexpected side effect is going to be the globalization of white collar work to lower cost regions. So we're finding we can hire engineers in South America that are similar time zone to the US that are about a third the price of engineers in the US. So I literally had a candidate who applied from Utah who wanted, $160,000 a year for a machine learning position. And then I had another candidate in South America who was about $40,000 or $50,000 a year for the same role.
Oof.
Both of them
I don't like
English.
to hear that as a machine learning engineer.
That's why I'm sharing it. I think it's something people don't realize and think about the fact that, if you can speak English and you're on a Zoom call, it doesn't, to me as an employer, I don't care what zip code you're in, and people want more money to be in a higher expense zip code. But I'm like, I get it. You might want to live there, but if you have the flexibility to not live in a high cost area, employers, as we recognize that this flexibility of hiring people in different places, there's going to be a push for movement abroad, which I think is something that people need to be aware of. There's going to be some downward pressure on those high-end salaries.
Very cool. And you can sell, like you were saying before, you're selling in Argentina, you're selling in other places.
Anywhere they play basketball. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's been true for a while, but even more so now, I would think.
Yep.
So, all right, great. I think we're sort of getting to the end. Is there anything? What are some last thoughts that you have on SportsVisio that you want to get out and on this interview, and tell people where they can find out more about both SportsVisio and more about you and everything that you do?
Sure. Yeah. So regarding the company, I mean, I think our perspective, like I said, we're a deep tech company focused in sports, and really it's stats, video, and highlights. So currently we're looking at box scores and video highlights, but the future for us, we see that stats pricing will go down towards zero. And eventually we'll be giving other things, upselling cloud storage of all the video. We're going to add video highlights and other clips for the entertainment, social media integration, analytics and insight coaching, recruiting, support, and automation of kind of the league technology. So we think that there's a lot of problems to solve there, and that market is got a lot of opportunity. And then, to check out the company, we're on all the social media platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And then personally, you can just Google my name. Syversen's pretty unusual Norwegian name. So I've been on a few podcasts and LinkedIn, Twitter. So if anyone wants to reach out, I'm always happy to connect.
Yep. And it'll be on the show notes page as well. I'll give the show notes page after the interview so that I know I'm getting the episode number right. But I believe this is the last episode of the year. So Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you. And hope you have a great holiday season.
Yes, you too. All right. Hope you had a wonderful 2022. And whether you did or you didn't, either way, you're looking forward to the next year. I continue to enjoy putting these shows out for you every week. So please consider both to support the show and to get more value from it, from me, from Aaron, and from audience members. Join our community at maximum.locals.com. Sign up and join the discussion today. Next year will be very dynamic for me, as I have a big job search going on with at least 5 full-length interviews with various teams in the next month. So I might need to make another move. Who knows? As I said before, I plan on doing 2 end-of-year shows, 1 solo show and 1 with Aaron to talk about year-scale news stories. And I hope you'll join me for that. Have a great week, everyone. That's the show. To support the Local Maximum, sign up for exclusive content and our online community at maximum.locals.com. The Local Maximum is available wherever podcasts are found. If you want to keep up, remember to subscribe on your podcast app. Also, check out the website with show notes and additional materials at localmaxradio.com. If you want to contact me, the host, send an email to localmaxradio@gmail.com. Have a great week.
Feel the power.